Jenny would like to know, would a female leopard kill another female leopard's cubs? She would definitely, Jenny, and that's why you find female leopards will generally have their dens or cubs in the middle of their home range. As they get a bit older and they're a bit faster, she will move them out to the peripheries, and when she's got a kill. I have heard, I didn't see it though, but Karula had a kill right on the edge of her range with Shadow, and she did bring the cubs to that. So it is possible. Now this is one of these roads very seldom driven. It's always nice to come explore these areas every now and then, have a look what tracks have been around. It's another route down to that big open area. So you're going to be stuck with James and I for the next little while, and Jamie is on leave, and then I'll be going on Thursday, I think, after the sunrise safari, just shooting away for a few days to go to a very good friend's wedding down on the coast. Definitely going to have to. I was going to take my fishing rods, but I think I'm going to spoil myself and buy a new one while I'm at the beach. But while we continue to check around here, let's see how James's hunt for the glorious little cinderella is going.
Alright everybody, we're into the vicinity where young Cinderella was, and if you have a look at this picture here on my phone, that's what the ping said. Now we're on this road here, and there's the Buffelshoek cut line you can see cutting across there, and he's about a third of the way along. Now this is not a sort of active image, so I can't sort of put a GPS coordinate into it, but we're probably about 100 meters or 300 feet or so south now of where he was. But you can see from the picture there that he was east of the road. So I think inside the Mulwati drainage line here. So let's just drive along. We'll listen out for any bird alarm calls. It's starting to cool down a little bit now, and so he may start to get moving. He may have been moving when it pinged. So let's just ease our way along here. Just going to look into the sand that side, see if he isn't there. Dappled spots. And now you see, when we get into the thick stuff like we're in now, well, and then it's going to be very difficult. So I may have to go off and have a look on foot. Just go a little bit further and just peer into this bush here. But you can see, I mean, if you were a leopard, the drainage line area would be much better idea. A little bit further up. Alright, let's head back across to Brent, and I'll keep searching.
We've made it to the big open area, and just having a quick look, it is, I know I keep harping on it, but the light this evening is just to die for. And so afternoons and moments like these that you sort of really understand, for me I understand and just absolutely cannot believe that this is what I get to do every day. and it doesn't always have to be about the cats and the action. I mean, just look at this. I mean, there's not an animal out here, but it is still just a scene that just sort of takes your breath away. Oh, there's a fire. You can see the smoke there. probably might be a bit difficult, but yeah, looks like there's a fire quite far to the south there, probably. No, it'll be outside of Kruger. And some citrus farms there. It's not a really big fire, maybe burning old wood or something. Now, of course, fire is something we not actually going to have to worry about this year because there's no grass to burn. But it is something we have to deal with out here in the bush quite often. And they can run away quite quickly. But fire is not really a negative thing. So most of Africa outside of the rainforest is what you call a fire climax biome. So a lot of species of grass and trees, but more specifically grass, needs fire. So fire will, we've got a flock of little creatures here, or little birds. A couple of different species, maybe. Oh, sorry, Brian and I are looking in different places today. I'm on the ground right next to us. Some little things hopping around. And some blue waxbills. Now, always look very carefully when I see blue waxbills, because sometimes there might be a different species with them, and I know a lot of how serious birders with those bird lists up and over 200. And we've got to work hard to get you some more species, and I think one I really have been trying to get on camera, it just keeps escaping, is orange-winged petilia, which is a type of little waxbill or little seed eater. Well, just the blue ones today. So I was chatting about fire then. So and when I say fire is a really important aspect of the African bush. So there's a lot of grass species that after they've burnt, they really grow at a magnificently fast rate afterwards. So it stimulates them, and also what happens with the fire is it removes a lot of the dead and decaying grass, and you can actually you can kill a cow by putting it in a field full of tall grass. Most grass species that are good for the animals are better when they're short. So if they're constantly grazed, and it constantly causes them to grow and grow faster. Now, that's another reason we were talking about buffalo being keystone species. Another important reason for buffalo, they're big lawn mowers. And once they've gone through an area, and an animal like a wildebeest, which is a very particular feeder, has a much better chance of getting the right grasses and the right amount of grass. Everything here is connected. Fire, drought, rain, flood, everything. Hi, tabby lion. Tabby lion likes to know, is it true that fire can travel, and Kazi lion can travel underground via tree roots? I wouldn't say it travels, but it'll travel to the end of the root. It can burn underground, but it also just depends on the type of soil it's in. So fire needs oxygen. So if it's a very tightly based sort of clay soil, it's very unlikely that will keep burning. It'll just extinguish itself. But in looser based soils and where there's lots of clods and stuff like that, it is possible for that fire to keep burning under the ground, but it doesn't really travel. It's not really going to jump onto another root. It's a very slow burn, so no real flames, but sort of coals. We're going to do one last gander down the Kruger boundary. See if we can find my pangolin friend. If nothing, I'm going to start heading back towards Djuma. What was that? Oh, that was an interesting track. No, it wasn't. It was Howard the hyena. Still, the thing amazes me, we still haven't seen one hyena on Cheetah Plains. I don't think any of the others have either. You guys who watch regularly, anyone remember a hyena sighting on Cheetah Plains? If you can, please let me know. I'd love to know about that, and you can email us and questions at WildEarthTV, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Hi Monique. Monique's in the Big Smoke, London. Monique would like to know which animal has the most acute sense of smell here. Now, there's quite a few animals that have really good senses of smell. Sorry, Monique, with you in a second. I just want to see what's been walking here. I think it's the same hyena. Well, elephant obviously comes to mind immediately in that massive trunk, but you'll probably find it's going to be one of the smaller species. Like an aardvark, for example, has got an incredible sense of smell and hearing. Yeah, I think elephant or aardvark probably have two of the best senses of smell. So Monique, it's a really great question. It's something you don't think about too much. I'll be fascinated when James is back from looking for Cinderlie, what he thinks which animal has the most impressive sense of smell. Now, hearing, there's some incredible hearing. All your little termite eaters, your aardvark and aardwolf, the bat-eared fox, can actually hear the termites moving underground. Now that I find amazing. And let's try to think what. Hyena also have a fantastic sense of smell. All the big cats. But I think I'm going to go with Eddie's. They're able to smell stuff under the ground and dig it up. Oh, hello. It's our little bit of our nervous herd of buffalo. So I'm not going to stay too long with them. They're heading back towards the Kruger National Park now. And they've finished their drink. Hello, buffs. Sorry, I know you guys are not the most calm, so I'm going to try to sneak past you quietly. It is fantastic. Look at that. Yes, shame. I'm not going to impede them. They're going to have a tough year, and they've had a tough year, and the year's only going to get tougher for buffalo. Hi, James Dungan. James is actually brought up very interesting. He said in the States, there's people who hire out goats to keep those grasses short and keep it sort of in order. Now, it's a very effective thing. Goats can be quite destructive though if they're left too long in an area. They are amazingly adaptable creatures. And I've seen in rural parts of Botswana and Zambia during drought that they will even eat cardboard, and they're able to get some form of sustenance out of that cardboard. Isn't that incredible? Donkeys are another one that can eat cardboard. Okay, well, Cheetah Plains had some lovely ellies, lovely buffalo, some zebras, and it's been a little bit on the quiet front from the big cat-wise, but it has been just absolutely gorgeous. It's incredible light. So I think maybe let's go see if we can up the ante, head back to Djuma, give James a hand working around there, and who knows what we're going to find. That's the best thing about being out live. There could literally be a giant male lion around the next corner. Oh, hello, Boko. 1, 2, 3. Oh, normally you got the 3 count before it disappears. Oh yeah, little female steenbok. A very pretty little antelope. Now, a stern is a rock, or a piece of rock, and that's where they get their name from. Is one of their defense mechanisms against predators is to keep dead still, as still as stone, and it's quite effective. I've actually seen a wild dog sniff less than 30 centimeters from a steenbok, and because it didn't run, and the dogs didn't go for it. Most of the predators out here are triggered by movement. Very pretty little girl. Bye, little steenbok. So we're in the far east of Cheetah Plains, so we've got quite a long stretch of Cheetah Plains left. And I'm going to head to an area we didn't do earlier along the northern boundary, just in case something's moved through during the time we've been down in the south and the east. We've just seen that gorgeous little steenbok, and Abhishek is wondering, why don't we see them more often? Well, normally because by the time you count to 3, they've run away. So the grey duiker and the steenbok are two smaller antelope species we see regularly here. There's always a chance that we might see a greyspok. One has been seen next door in Buffelshoek, but it's unlikely. They prefer rocky areas, and we don't really have too many rocky areas. But it's because they generally run away before we can swing the camera around. It would be nice for a quarantine male leopard to make a surprise appearance as we move along the northern section of Cheetah Plains. And that's where he is found normally, in this north and central area of Cheetah Plains, around 3 in a row pan. We're definitely going to have another squiz at the waterhole as we head back that way, because you never know what might have popped out of the bush. Okay. I think it's time for a little quiz. What do you think, Brian? I think we should get you guys back at home to do some work. Normally we do trees or birds, but I think let's do mammals. We haven't done mammals in a long time. And we're going to talk about the spiral-horned antelope, which is my favorite antelope family. Aha. Yes, that's a good question. So, how many spiral-horned antelope are there in Africa? Not in Djuma. Which we can have a two-part question. No, let's start off with how many spiral-horned antelope species may possibly occur in Djuma, or on Djuma and Cheetah Plains, or the Sabi Sands. So if you think you know how many spiral-horned antelopes occur in the Sabi Sands, or the Greater Kruger, let me know what they are, and you can do that by emailing questions@WildEarthTV, or you can use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. The smell of the bush at this time of the year is fantastic. You can smell the dust, sort of drying leaves, elephant odor wafts through as you drive. We're going to go have one quick last look at 3 in a row pan before heading back to Djuma. Let's go see how Jan's tracking's been.
Now, everybody, I'm not going to look you in the eye, I'm just looking down here. I walked into this drainage line, and quite a substantial portion of it, I didn't see any tracks. We couldn't get a vehicle in there anyway, but this is where the ping came from. Down inside the Mulwati drainage line, perfect leopard habitat, thick bush, cool sand on a hot day like this. I've no doubt he was in there at some stage today. He might still be in there, maybe moving towards Hyena Road, which is to the east of us. So we're going to go round. Even if I had found him, we wouldn't have been able to get a car in there, I'm afraid. So let's see, we might be lucky. The one thing that is out here in great abundance at the moment are the flies. There are thousands of them reveling in the heat provided by this midwinter unseasonable heat. And most of them are now in my inner ear, which makes for some difficult sort of hearing. I'm just scouring inside here, then I shall look you in the eye again. Just while we drive along here, excuse my rudeness. When it ain't your day, it ain't your day. Well, let's go down here. Hello Matthew, a nice question from you, a very astute question. You say, how quickly does the temperature drop here at night? Well, normally pretty fast. You know, as the sun goes down, literally, as it pops below the western horizon, we'll put a jersey on. But today, I just don't think that's going to be the case. Today, I feel like it's probably going to stay quite warm until late tonight, and then I think a front is going to hit us. Now you can imagine this kind of road has been carved here so that we can get through the drainage only on this road, but you can imagine it's like this all the way along, and so very, very difficult to get through. Let's just peek our way through. We might find him lying in the shade somewhere. It would be so nice to see him. This is the great Mulwati drainage. And unlike its southern reaches on Djuma, where we can sort of drive through it, we cannot do that here. It doesn't have anything like the space. We drive past him in 3.5 seconds. Davey, you see any leopards anywhere?
Not just yet.
You will tell me though, won't you? Yes, thanks. No, not my day. Now this does bring up the great debate, of course, of why on earth don't we just put subcutaneous tracking devices on all our animals if it's so easy to, you know, get a pinpoint from them. It does somewhat take the romance out of it. I am personally, once Sandile has established himself, I'm looking forward to the day that that collar falls off him, as I'm sure it will. But for the moment, we'll take advantage of it. Like I say, it's supposed to send regular pings, that collar, which it does, but sometimes they're received a bit later. Now Nisa, you're in North Carolina, and it's a very good question. I think you were watching yesterday or 2 days ago when we had that unbelievable interaction between Shadow and Sandile and the young cub. And you say, do leopards and lions recognize their offspring from a previous litter, or do they just see them as a threat to the new litter? I believe that they do absolutely recognize each other. I'm pretty sure that Shadow knows who Sandile is. I'm pretty sure that Sandile definitely knows who Shadow is. He wouldn't have hung around there had he not known who she was. And I just think that, the leading cause of cub death, leopard cub death, is infanticide from unknown male leopards. So it's really not, it's not surprising that she's a little bit reticent to have him hanging around. But she wasn't that aggressive with him. And he showed, to my mind, watching the interaction, we saw a bit of the interaction before we went live. I mean, we actually went into the sighting to look. I just think that he was confused. I don't think he showed any sense of aggression at all. What he'd do to the new cub, I don't know. I think it's unlikely that he'd harm it. No, I'm afraid we're going to give this up. We're going to come back past here a little bit later on when it's cooled down. Let's go to Buffelshoek Dam. I know that Brent started there today, and we may be lucky and have those lions pop out for a drink as the sun starts to set on another glorious African winter's day. I would show you the sunset, but it's right behind us, of course, so that's almost impossible. See if we can get up onto the ridge, Chris, and we'll have a look. Here we go. Now, there are not many jobs where Monday morning or your Monday at work ends with a scene like that. That's how my Monday office view looks, everyone. Jealous much? Not bad, Dave.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. Could be worse. Could be better if there was a leopard silhouetted in the tree against the sky there. But it's still wonderful to have the wonderful sunset every single day. James Dungan, yes, very good question. You say, wouldn't a leopard cub and leopard mother know each other from smell? Yes, absolutely. I think they would. I think that would be the major way that they recognized each other. Smell is massively, massively important, even to us as human beings, and half the time we don't even realize it. And we know that our noses are not anything like as powerful as many of the animals out here, and that the organs that we have for interpreting smell are almost vestigial. In other words, they are relics of our evolutionary past, but still smell is massively important to us. And you know that your family smells like home. You know that your partner, if you like, either smells like home or sometimes just doesn't smell quite right. I've certainly had that experience. Not bad, just not right. And so I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that a leopardess would recognize her cubs from their smell completely. Righty, let's move on from here. Brenty has some, I believe you have some answers to Brent's quiz.
Look at that exquisite African sunset. That burning orb is disappearing below the western horizon. And it seems like we have some answers for the spiral-horned antelope quiz. And we're about to go into a little dip here, so we might lose signal, so I'm going to wait here. Well done. Ooh. Lynn, Chris, and Kyle all say 5. I think it's 4, if I remember correctly. We've got kudu, bushbuck, and what am I missing? Inyala, and eland are the 4 spiral-horned antelopes in this part of the world. Now, as we move up Africa, there's a few more. Sitatunga being the next one closest. That's up in, starts in northern Botswana around the Zambezi River. We go further north, we get, where are we on now? 5. And Sitatunga is 5, and then you go into the rainforest, the bongo, it's number 6. And then also Lord Derby's eland, another species of eland, 7. lesser kudu, Tanzania, Kenya, and there's one more. Mountain in Nyala in Ethiopia. So we're going to go back to James while we scoot through this little bad signal area, and we'll be back with you when next time you see us, we'll be on Djuma.
Right here, everyone. Oh, you didn't see that one, did you, Davey? No, you didn't. I only asked for it. Just to prove everybody that we're not having a totally mammal-free drive. There is a buffalo. Just enjoying his sunset cud. Doesn't that look nice, Dave?
Beautiful.
You wish you also had some sunset cud to chew?
I do, James.
And he's just very, very relaxed. I think we're going to carry on from him, and we're going to head towards Buffelshoek Dam and see if those lions don't pop out. So if he has headed east, Sandila I mean, from where he was, which I think is quite likely, then this is the road that he'll come to. But who knows when that might be. We may be lucky. So Brent obviously on his way back from the east being Cheetah Plains. This of course is the worst road on Djuma, and so you must watch out, you must remove your dentures while we're driving along here, and please don't spill your drink on your lap. A hot cup of coffee on the lap, very painful, not nice. Not so, no? Yes. Now this is the kind of area that fills with water in the summertime, so should the predicted deluge materialize later on in the year, this is where the natural water would form, and this is why there's this great debate about whether or not there should be dams at all. In good years of rain, on these sort of very clayey areas like that, water will gather, and animals will come and drink, they'll come and lie in them, and they'll make good use of them. And then when they dry up, the animals go off and they find some other ones. And that gives the area, the grazing around an area like this, time to recover. And then when it rains again, they come back. Whereas if you've got permanent water, like these dams, well, then of course there's never any real grazing relief on the rangeland outside. But what it does mean is that you have a regular, steady stream of animals coming your way. And if you're running a tourism operation or something like that, which just about everybody in this area is, and without the tourists we wouldn't have this conservation land, well, you can't really have only sort of a month in each year when you've got animals around. So it's always a bit of a trade-off. Not that there are many animals around this particular road right now. And just to reiterate to you, you can come to either Arathusa or Djuma, which is where we are now, or you can go to Cheetah Plains, which we also drive on, and you can go to any of those places and you can visit as a tourist. And they traverse larger areas than we as Wild Earth are able to traverse, so you're almost certain to see lions and leopards in a sort of 3 or 4 night stay. Definitely elephants and buffalo and that sort of thing. Andy Brown, very nice question. You say, why are there no bear species in Africa? Andy, you say every other continent has got them except Africa. That is not very cross, Franklin. That is not entirely true, in that Antarctica ain't got no bears, just a lot of penguins. But I take your point. There are no bears south of the Sahara. There used to be bears in the Atlas Mountain called the Atlas bear, and I think there's some debate as to whether it was introduced or not from Europe. Now the Atlas Mountains are up in the very north of Africa, just around about Morocco sort of side, very high mountains, and there used to be bears apparently around there. They are long since extinct as far as I'm aware. But all throughout Eurasia, obviously Europe, and into the Americas, and much of even the Asian subcontinent into India, you will find bears. And I don't know if you get them in South America. I don't think you get bears in South America, do you? Maybe versions of bears. In Australia, yes, you've got a koala bear, but as far as I'm aware, koala bear is not an ursid, as we'd call it. It's not from the same family as the bears. I think that the koala is a marsupial, and therefore very, very, I mean, not even vaguely related to any kind of bear. But why don't we get them here? The ecological niche that a bear would fulfill in its, in northern Africa, Eurasia and into North America is full here. And that ecological niche is of the sort of apex predator, and it's, that's just what evolved over there, and evolved in the absence of many of the predators that we have in this area. I think specifically bears are very good at being able to lay down fat, and you need to be able to lay down fat very effectively if you go through times of boom and bust, i.e. A very severe winter juxtaposed with a very abundant summer. We don't have that situation here, where our summer, well, at least our winter, look at us sitting in our shirt sleeves, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, midwinter. It's just really not that terrifying. So animals like bears, which do lay down enormous fat reserves, don't have any, those adaptations are not particularly effective for an area like this. I hope that sort of answers your question, but basically the niche that a bear would fill over here is filled with other predators. And why that Franklin is so very upset. Anyway, we're just going to pop down to Buffelshoek Dam and see if we can't see something there. We might be lucky. We might not. Now, the drainage line system here is quite confusing, so we're now heading down back into what is essentially a tributary of the Mulwati. So the Mulwati is that big one that we were driving along there. This is a tributary that feeds out of Buffelshoek Dam. There's a nyala, David. Can you believe it? We've found another mammal. Our skill is unparalleled. There it is, everybody. Hiding like everyone else, and all you can see there are the white chevrons on the nyala's nose that apparently are supposed to help it see in this thick bush in which it lives. Light is supposed to reflect off those chevrons into the eyes. I am slightly suspicious of that. Why has it got a white sock on its left foot, and indeed its right foot? I don't think that's to reflect light into its eyes. So I wonder if it isn't just sort of decorative in order to attract mates in a bit in the same way that a peacock's tail might be. There are a whole lot of females behind, also in the deeply thick bush. Now, remember we were talking about the colour blindness. I'm just going to sneak slightly forward so that Dave can see the females there. You got them, Dave? And remember we were talking about colour blindness, and we were talking about whether or not animals can see those things. Now that red colour that you can see walking through there, that's pretty obvious to our eyes. It's not very well camouflaged, except in the winter like this, when those stripes, and I guess that chestnut colour does mix in with some of the vegetation. But in summer, you can see there how the chestnut colour really sticks out against the green. If you see in no colour, i.e. in sort of greens and reds, that's going to be almost impossible to see unless it moves. And then when it moves, those stripes that the nyala's got will break the outline and make it slightly more difficult for a nocturnal predator to see where they're going. Very nice. Okay, Buffelshoek Dam before the darkness falls. The other thing out here, of course, as I've said before, is that once the sun sets, it's almost like a light going out. And I know many of you at higher latitudes, there we've got this nyala, he was going to come across the road. At higher latitudes have got a very lengthy twilight, which we don't have. You've got hardly any twilight at all. Isn't that nice? Yeah, he's a magnificent fellow. He really is a spectacular bull. So, I mean, if you haven't seen a Nyala before, that's the male, and the female completely different. Total sexual dimorphism, we call it. And it's the only antelope species where the dimorphism is so apparent. Could be a completely different animal. He's very dark, I must say. He's only got a... Dave, that is extremely unusual. You see how he's only got a white sock on his left leg?
I did notice that.
Let me just ease forward. You know what we're going to have to call him, don't you, Dave?
What's that, James?
Socks. Socks the Nyala. Yes, very nice little stocking he's got there. Come on, show us your stocking. There we go. No, it's not time for supper just yet. Well, you can just see the whiteness there. And his beard, his very impressive beard. He might be a hipster, Dave. Yeah, he's very upset when I said that. He's turned his back on us. Let's head across to Buffelshoek Dam. I just want to get there before it gets dark and see if we can't see a predator over there. I'm going to drive a little bit faster. Not breakneck speed. Whoops. Still there, Dave?
Good.
Dave's still there, everyone. Let's see if we can get there before it gets dark. It's just up this next road. Lean to the left, everyone. Don't fall out the right-hand side of the car. Phew. Now here it's a bit cooler down in the dips as the katabatic flow begins. That's a word we use a lot at this time of the year, katabatic flow, and it's the flow of the warm air out of the drainage line areas as the sun sets. So the cold air starts to settle down here, the warm air rises up to the ridge crests, and if you're sitting on a ridge crest now having your evening snifter, you'll feel a very gentle warm breeze coming up. It's really very pleasant indeed. Audrey, age 12, a nice question from you. You know, it's a difficult one. You say, will zebra babies or zebra dads kill their babies like leopard dads? It's not leopard dads that kill their babies, Audrey, it's other males. So it's males who are not their dads. And yes, zebra will do the same sort of thing. Not as often, but it does happen, and I've certainly seen it happen here. And it's a difficult one for us to deal with because we know that as human beings, it doesn't happen with human beings. You know that if you come across a man who's not your father, he's unlikely to try and do you harm unless he's a criminal. He's normally likely to be very nice to you. And that's what we are as human beings. We're generally nice to each other, but for the criminal element, of course. And you'll find the closer you get to human beings, so, you know, so the baboons and monkeys, yes, they do kill each other, probably not quite the same amount as leopards and zebras, for example. And so the closer you come to being a human being, so the less that sort of thing happens. But of course the best dads out here, and as we were talking about this Father's Day, which was yesterday, are the birds. The birds are very good fathers. They spend a lot of time, they don't just produce the offspring with their female birds, they then help, much the same as human dads do. They help to raise the kids and raise the little chicks, teach them to fly, teach them to hunt, teach them what to eat. look after them, chase off other predators, and very few mammal species other than humans do that. So Audrey, it's a common question, that, and it's a common thought, and we're often looking for mammal species like ours where the males are good fathers, and it's because it makes us feel like we have something in common with them. It makes us feel in a sense of attachment. The wolves and the wild dogs are a bit different. They've got pretty good fathers. But the cats tend not to have such good dads. Although, you know what, I say that, but, you know, although a male lion may not make a great deal of effort with his offspring, and he'll tolerate them if he happens to be around the pride when they're around, he plays a very important role in their lives. So many of you will know that the male has very little to do with the pride of females and cubs, and he patrols, and he'll have maybe 2 or 3 prides in his territory, and he doesn't do any kind of feeding of the kids, he doesn't help to hunt anything, but what he does do is protect the territory from other males coming into the area who would kill the cubs. And so although by human standards, I suppose he's not a great dad, he's not about to go off to Little League and watch his cubs learn to play baseball or anything like that, and he's certainly not going to bring them nice food to eat, he will look after the area in which they live, and that is very important when you're living in the wilderness. So, by human standards not so good, by animal standards, well, that's just his role. Right, Brenty is back on Djuma. Let's go and get an update from him.
Well, Brian and I have decided to throw the dice in that area where Karula was seen this morning, and we're hoping to find her out on the hunt. Now, if we see the cubs, we're not going to stay. It's a bit too late in the day, but we're hoping that she might be off hunting away from them. So we're just going to have a quick loop through this area, see what's about. Now, I think the quiz worked so well, we should do another one. What do you think, Brian? Brian, would you like to do a quiz for a change?
Oh, I've got nothing to quiz.
Brian's got nothing to quiz, okay. Let's think. This is a good one, and I'm sure a lot of our leopard lovers will be fast on it. What is the oldest ever recorded male leopard in the wild? And if you really know his name even, I'll be even more impressed. So if you know who the oldest male leopard ever recorded in the wild was, or his age and his name if you know it. So if you got that information, send it through to me on questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. But there's been no sign of any tracks coming out of this block where Karula was. Actually, I just asked James where the report of Cinderlie was, and we can just also do a squiz through that area. It might have got moving now that it's cooler. James. James, what area were you looking for, Cinderlie? What area was that report of Cinderlie? Sorry, just listening to James. Okay, copy. I was just wondering. I'll take a quick check around Zoe's, that area, see if Karula pops up somewhere this side. James is actually still in that area, so he's going to check around there. And now Steph's calling us as well. Ooh. Sorry, there's monkey's alarm calling around the lodge. James is closer. But I think we're going to go give him a hand as well, because we're not too far. We're about 5 minutes from there. James is about 2 minutes, 3 minutes away. So, well, let's go see what's happening around the lodge. Could also be one of those Nkahuma lionesses. They've been split for a while now, and we are seeing tracks of a single female around the lodge quite often. And not bad, middle of winter, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. I'll take that. Hello, Michael, who's 13, and mother Amanda. Welcome on the safari. And they were wondering about elephants' toenails. Do they grow? They most certainly do. And the reason they never really look like they grow too much is that when elephants are constantly using their feet, they're kicking the ground, they use their feet to dig out stuff, so they don't need nail clippers, they do it by wear and tear. Nice to have a mom and son on the safari with us today. It's that half light at the moment. It's spectacular. And one of my favorite words refers to this half light period, but at dusk and at dawn, and it's called crepuscular. It just sounds so wonderful to say. Crepuscular. Say crepuscular, Brian. Crepuscular. There we go. Crepuscular. It is a lovely word. But it's one of those funny times when you're out on safari where it's quite difficult to spot things. You can't see with a spotlight. Actually makes it harder to spot things because your eyes immediately are drawn to that light and they're very focused. So you've got to just strain your eyes a little bit, try to see some of that movement or something that just looks slightly out of place. Feel the temperature drop as we go through this little river system. Whoops, it is. Over the bumps. Now, these, of course, are not speed bumps. They are called mitre drains. And they're to make sure that the roads don't become big erosion areas. So when it rains, it just takes the water off to the side. Now, we're coming to have a look around quarantine. I know James is checking around the dam. So well done, Valerie, and many, many others say the oldest recorded leopard was 17 years, but that was a female. So I asked what was the oldest recorded male leopard in the wild, and he actually used to live not too far from where we are, down on the Sand River, and he happened to be, while I was working in that part of the world, my favorite leopard. He's also the leopard I've come closest to on foot. Now, we're tracking him while he was mating with a female, and I went into the Sand River, and there's big mounds of sand that have been put there over the various floods and that of the year, and on top of there's Phragmites, which is a reed. And I had my head down, I was looking at the tracks, and my tracker, Mr. Matubula, said, "Hey, don't move." And I literally looked up, and on eye level with me, probably this far away, I looked straight into a monster male leopard's eyes. I will not lie, my heart definitely quickened quite a bit in that moment. But he didn't move, he just watched me, and then I stepped back slowly, and we went back and fetched the car and had a fantastic sighting of him mating. Okay. Let's go give James a hand around the dam. I can see a buffalo. That's not what we're looking for. I suppose it's about time to get the old spotlight out. Nearly. While I try and figure out where my spotlight is, let's go see what James is up to.
Now, we came into this area, everyone, because we heard reports of monkeys alarm calling down here by the Djuma Dam. Now, that's where we are now. So we left Buffelshoek. Nothing going on at Buffelshoek Dam at all. One lonely heron. Davy, the aerial's down. Is it all right? Okay. I'll just stop so that Dave can fix the aerial. And the monkeys, we think, are at Vuyatela camp. That's not far from here. In fact, you can just see their lights twinkling off into the bushes there. Dave will show you once he's fixed the aerial. He's just reattaching it to the car as we drove into this area quite quickly. Come on, David.
There you are.
Right, good, well done. So maybe Sindile came west instead of east. Maybe that's what the monkeys were shouting at. So we'll drive onto the dam wall where there's a beefy, and then we'll go back down and round, I think, to Galago Pan. There are impala drinking merrily at the dam, at the pan, so I'm not sure that anything's particularly large and scary has come along to see them. Go ahead, Brent. Gerda, you say you love this time of the evening. I love this time of the evening too. Listen, the baboon's alarm calling. They're not around here. The monkeys are still around the other side. I can hear them going, cow, 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 cow. And baboons go, bow, bow. And that's what's going on there. Let's go back. They're over there to the right-hand side of your screen. So let's leave the beefy, which looks extremely comfortable, not in the least bit terrified, and go and see what's causing the consternation amongst the baboons. While we do that, let's head across to Brent and get an update from him.
Look at that. It's full moon. Isn't that just spectacular? Now, we often get very red moons at this time of the year. And that's due to all the dust in the air. So it creates that reddish color. So as the moon heads higher, you'll notice it's going to get brighter and clearer. Now, James is going to go check on Mvubu side. I can also hear those baboons alarm calling. So I'm going to check from the opposite side. So hopefully we'll find you guys a cat before the end of the sunset safari. Of course, I got distracted by the moon and forgot to get my spotlights. I'm going to have to get out to it. We'll just get up onto quarantine quickly. Oh my goodness, isn't that the colors tonight? The moon, the sunset, it's just been an absolutely gorgeous day. I'm going to ask Brian to show you that gorgeous sunset while I try to get the spotlight out from where it's caught. success. We have had some success with the spotlight. Now we can go look for a cat. Now we're ready. Oh, magic. Oh, another tough day in the office, Brian. Chris Rogue, you are spot on. I was definitely talking about the Camp Pan male. And you are correct, he was a legend. He is legendary. So as far as I know from the research I've done, he died when he was just shy of his 15th birthday, making him the oldest recorded male leopard in the wild. Now, he was absolute beastie, and he dominated for a very long time around the Sand River. He was born at Singita to the Tavangumi female in the Tavangumi koppies. Oh no, sorry, yes, he was born to the Tavangumi female, and when he first became independent from his mother, he spent a lot of time at Camp Pan, which is a little waterhole on Singita. So that's where he got his name. And he pushed out another big male called, well, we used to call him Old Paleface, and he was called the Manuletti male. And both of those were spectacularly large leopards. And Camp Pan was the biggest leopard I'd ever seen until I saw Anderson for the first time. Now, Anderson is, in my opinion, I've looked at photographs of them at the same age, and Anderson is bigger than the legendary Camp Pan. Kyle says he looks a bit like Anderson. I know, Kyle, it makes you wonder, is there a bit of Camp Pan's genetics in that boy? So he was, from a body size, he was also one of the largest male leopards on record. The largest ever male leopard in the wild, of course, was around just over 200 pounds. And old Camp Pan was not shy, or not far off that weight. Switch off and listen for a second. It's all gone quiet. I'm going to ask James where he is, and if James is going to check through here, I'm going to check further to the west. James? James, are you going to check that little link road past Gallagher? Copy. I'm going to check Gallagher shortcut then through towards Buffalo. Okay, so James is checking down there at the moment. Those baboons were alarm calling somewhere in this area, but it's very likely that whatever it is on the move. So it pays to have a couple of vehicles circling the area. Much easier for us to possibly find them. Find whatever might have been being shouted at. Now, we've just had a beautiful look at that moon. Now, with the camera that James has got today, and Dave, they're going to go take you on a tour, I think, of the moon. So let's go have a look.
Not sure about a tour of the moon, everybody, but we're certainly going to try and have a good look at it. And there you can see the rabbit. People, I think, are mad when they say that they can see a man in the moon. Can you see the man, David?
I don't, James.
I don't see the man either, David. I think it's utterly ridiculous. But that just might be a lack of imagination on my part. Anyway, you can certainly see the rabbit there in glorious high definition. And we've stopped here by the Gallagher Pan. The baboons are not calling anymore, nor are the monkeys. And so I'm slightly at a loss as to what to do. What we are going to do is turn around. Brent is going up the road in front of us. And so what we'll do is go up the road off to where the moon is, basically, and see if we can't pick something up there. I'm just taking a photograph of very, very suspect quality. Very suspect, very blurred, horrible. Won't take it again. Well done, David. Yours is much better.
Thanks, James.
Good job. Let's move on. Okay, so we're going to turn around just to give you an idea. Brent is off in front of us that way, going up towards the cut line. We're going to go up that way. This is in front of us is a melee of 4 or 5 different drainage lines that eventually culminate in the Djuma Dam. And so to get, kind of an accurate picture of what's going on in there is almost impossible in the darkness. You have to go in there on foot. So we'll just flank it for the next few minutes that we have left, and we'll see if something doesn't pop out. Paul, you say the last time there was a strawberry moonrise like that was during the summer solstice 70 years ago. Paul, what is a strawberry moon? I mean, I can see that is a quite red one, but is that not just the winter's dust hanging in the air? That's really interesting. I'd love to know more about what you mean there, Paul. It's very beautiful. Right, I'm going to drive a little bit quicker. See if we can't pick something up. My luck has not been with us today. It's just the way it goes, Dave. Yes. Monday afternoon. Tough day at the office. Now, Paul, I don't know, I've never heard the term strawberry moon before. But that is probably a fault of my education rather than the lack of its existence. I'd love to know more about that. This is one of the drainage lines that then feeds into the Djuma Dam. And this is the kind of main one that they all join. And the baboons, of course, that were alarm calling, and the monkeys will be roosting probably in the tall trees that flank the drainage lines or dry riverbeds. They like to roost up out of harm's way, but they will alarm call if they see something like a leopard or a lion, just to warn the leopard or the lion that they have been seen and not to waste its time. We've also got Mars sitting above us, also looking quite strawberry coloured. I'm not going to try and show it to you with the camera at this stage because you'll probably get seasick. But that's strawberry coloured, of course, because of the iron oxide in the dust. Mr. Bobob, thank you for this. You say the strawberry moon refers to the fact that it's the full moon during the strawberry season. Okay, thank you very much. It's obviously not strawberry season here, but I guess in the northern hemisphere it must be. That's wonderful. A strawberry moon. I really like that. Thank you very much. That makes a lot more sense. Now, the one thing I wanted to do today and then kind of got sidetracked was go to the hyena den. And it's a bit dark now to go there, so I'm not going to go there, but we'll pop across there, I think, in the morning and see what's going on there. Very exciting that they are back in, well, the second most salubrious neighbourhood I think they've found. We're just going to drive up here a little bit and then stop and have another listen. So Brent is quite a long way off towards that sort of pinkening sky there. To the left. And there you can see it. And in between is a block full of drainage lines and chasms where the baboons and monkeys are, but where there are no ways to sort of drive. And the hyena den, which is just sort of over there, pops through here, and it's on a major game path that comes onto this road. Sharon, you say every full moon has a name to its season. That's excellent. I'd love to know a few more of them. I'm just going to stop here. I've just gone past the entrance to the hyena den, so let's just have a listen and see. There doesn't appear to be a great deal more shouting from any of the animals. In fact, all is entirely quiet. All I can hear way in the distance is one of the rain locusts that nearly set upon David as we started our drive today. Let's just have a listen for 20 seconds, see what you can hear. I can hear people talking on a game drive. But otherwise, everything is very much winter quiet. Just that one single solitary rain locust going way in the distance. Not an owl, not a nightjar, not a roaring lion or hyena. Okay, let's carry on. Alright, let's go across to Brent and see if he's had any luck on the other side there.
No luck just yet. We did go through some elephants in the dark, but we don't shine lights on ellies too much. They don't like it. So we turned off all our lights and we drove through them. Oh, nice and warm as we come up to the top of the crest. I'm hoping, if we don't find a cat today, that all the cats will be out and playing in the early morning. I think it is going to be gorgeous tomorrow morning. I think it's just going to be one of those fantastic days out in the bush. I'm calling it ahead. I've got a premonition. We're going to find some cats in the morning. The longer I stay out in the bush, the more I realize that I'm probably never going to leave it on a permanent basis. There's just something so spectacular about living in these parts of the world. When our worst traffic jam is a herd of buffalo or elephant. The noisy neighbors of the baboons barking at a leopard. African wildcats. Oh my goodness, it's a little African wildcat. Let me just go back a little bit. Now, this is my first ever sighting of an African wildcat on Safari Live.
First for the killer bees.
First for the killer bees. Yes, indeed, Brian. I know Jamie and Viam had an incredible sighting of one. How's that? So I'm going to try and move with the shadow. Is that a bit better? Oh, no, there's too much shadow there. So this is... I know they also... How's that, Brian? There we go. Just get that piece of grass out of the way. Spot on. Oh, what did you hear, little wildcat? I'm just going to try and get the spotlight stable. Sorry. There we go. Isn't that just gorgeous? Well, we were looking for big cats and we found the smallest cat. They are just the most supreme little predators. Look at that. Really, really gorgeous. Just try to stick with it. It's going to walk parallel to us. Look at him go. Look at those little movements that pop out. Hello, little guy. They are just absolutely exquisite. Mostly nocturnal. They'll normally lie up in a thicket during the day. About to pop out. And off he goes hunting. I'm not going to try follow him, shame it'll scare him, but if we keep seeing them in this area, we can probably get them relaxed and try see if we can get another last visual before he disappears. And like a true cat, melts into the night. Wow, wasn't that awesome? I'm so chuffed! Yay! Well, that's the one thing about being out here. You literally never know what's going to be around the next corner. And with these really dry conditions we are having, we're going to see a lot more of these little creatures. So normally the grass is a bit high to see them. So, that was absolutely stunning. Yay, wildcat. We're going to keep looping this area where we heard those alarm calls. And James is over there somewhere. Got some signal break. I'm back. So Zoe's wondering, do you ever see wildcats in different colors? It looks almost identical to the one we saw with Jamie. I think it could even be the same one. It's in the right area. But yes, they normally all look like that. They don't have a lot of variation in colors like domestic cats. So they do all look quite similar. But this is the fantastic thing about this little last half an hour of the safari in winter. You're going to get those opportunities to see some of these incredible nocturnal creatures. Now I'll bring in the aardvark. Hey, Brian. Hi, Mia in Illinois. Mia, it was Mia's first sighting of an African wildcat. Well, I'm very happy to have shared it with you, Mia. And to anyone else who might have had the first sighting, hey, that's another one for the carnivore list. So I've set myself a little challenge to try show as many of the carnivore species as we can. There's a possible 20 or so in this area, and we're getting there now. So we've got, of course, the easy ones: the lion, leopard, wild dog, hyena, cheetah. There's the five, the big ones, and we've got dwarf mongoose. I've got dwarf mongoose, honey badger, serval. What am I missing? Oh, slender mongoose. We've seen both species of genets. We've seen, so we're on 11 now. Side-striped and black-backed jackal puts us on 13, and the missing ones. Is a bushbuck alarming very close here, and this is the area where James was looking for that leopard. Sounds like on the other side of this river system though. Let's just listen again. Now, bushbuck don't lie. Oh, it's right in the drainage line. I know James tried to get in there. We can't actually get a car in there. So I'm pretty sure Sindile is very close to us here, just through in the river system here. But it is a massive system. We can't get vehicles into it. Let's just listen. I'm going to see which way it's going. Well, good sign for tomorrow. We know where to start looking. But I think he's still in this little river system here. Exciting to have him around. It in property.
Of course, lost signal. Let me just turn the game drive radio down. There's a great deal of fairly pointless chatter going on. It's deafening me. In fact, it may have deafened my entire right hemisphere of my brain. Just driving onto quarantine clearings to see if anything pops out here. A couple of impala and buffalo coming on, and of course, as the night falls, so the animals will want to come up onto these areas. You can just see the back end of a buffalo there. I don't mind shining on the back end of a buffalo, simply because you can't blind them from there. And there we are. So they'll come out onto the clearing, of course, to try and stay safe, to see what's going to come and eat them. That's going to be it from us today, everyone. We are most honoured for having you with us. Thank you very much for coming along on my luckless safari. Good to have you with us. Thank you, David, for your efforts. Well done, good job, and a big thank you to the Final Control, and of course to Brent Leo Smith, the inimitable Brent Leo Smith, of course, and his cameraman, who was, I think, the very tall Brian Joubert.
Indeed.
Mostly, thanks so much for your very kind patience during our rehearsals last week. We're back to normal. We'll see you tomorrow at 6:30.